Hello everyone, welcome to this live stream. Today is episode 3 of my Chord Voicings library, and if you don't know what it is, it's the weekly, or at least I'm going to try to make it a weekly episode in which I teach you 3 chord formulas. It's not only chord voicings, but chord formulas that I found while transcribing the stuff I liked. So if you didn't watch the first 2 episodes, you can watch them after you watch this video. And there's a bunch of great stuff. And this episode I have a really cool one by Wes Montgomery. That's why you saw the thumbnail. And I'm going to end with that one. It's also very difficult. So I'm not even sure I can already play it. But I don't want to let you wait. So of course I transcribed everything. There will be tab on the screen, but also if you want to download the tab and the tab for every video I ever made, then you can join my Patreon and then you can download the tab. Also for this video, I will upload the tabs for this video within 10 minutes after the stream ends. And also if you could do me a solid and like this video, because that will help me out. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell notification button. Sometimes YouTube actually sends you a notification that I'm live or that I have a new video. So I have 3 formulas for you, and as always I'm going to demonstrate them on a coquette, on a backing track. If there's something wrong with the sound, please let me know. I can see the comments, so then I can fix it. Hello. Oh, that's a difficult name. Nicolase, hello, welcome. Okay, so let's go to the first chord formula. Starting with the easy one. This one I got from Peter Bernstein. I don't know which recording, some recording. And actually he doesn't play this in a chord solo. He plays this as a accompaniment. And I mean, the rhythm is not really that important. It's more the voicings he uses in a row. I just think it sounds cool. And the voicings are, this voicing is the first voicing for G7. So you can play this on the 2-5-1 in C. So every chord formula in this series, it's either 2-5-1 in C or F or C minor or F minor. So this one sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 2, 3. And I actually think that this one sounds especially cool low on the neck, because those middle string voicings, they just sound very... on low on the guitar neck, they sound more special. So let's say I have to play it in G, so then I have to start on D7. And the way I find it's very easy. The first voicing is just in the position of the key I'm playing it in. So now I'm playing it in G. So here's G. So the first voicing is there. 1, 2, 3. And it ends on G7, right? So you say, well, but if it's a blues, that's fine. But if it's not a blues, you can still play that G7 chord, just a bluesy sound. You can play it on the G chord, just, I mean, you have to be a little bit careful with it, but in this context, it's fine. 1, 2, 3. So the rhythms, they are free, right? You can, now it takes 2 bars, but you can play it in 1 bar. Let's say the first you play, so it's 2-5-1 to G, 1, 2, 3. Right? You can do whatever you want with the rhythms. Just be creative with it. It's more about the order of the voicings. So I'm going to demonstrate it on coquette. So then I have to play it first in D. So then it would be here, right? Because D is there. And the bridge is actually a 2-5-1 in G. So then. So I'm going to try and be a little bit creative with it. And not play it every time in these rhythms, but just improvise a little bit. I'm still going to use these chords, but I'll be free with it. So let me find the backing track. And I'll change the screen to like this. Well, you don't see it like this. Okay. If the backing track is not loud enough or too loud, let me know also. Yeah, easy, right? Sounds cool. Okay, let's go to the next one. And next one is one by Lagerlund. This one is quite difficult to play, especially in a fast tempo. It's more for a ballad. It's even fast to play it on Coquette, but I'm going to try it. So here it's written down in F, and it sounds like this. So you see above some notes it says straight eighth note. So he plays it straight, and I think it's part of the sound. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3, 4. So it's basically using this voicing, which is pretty difficult to play on the first fret in F, which is a voicing for beautiful voicing for B flat major 7, for example. That's why I would use it mostly. But you could also use it for G minor, and then he shifts it up. So this would be a voicing for D flat major 7. But if you play that on C7, you get a sus flat 9 sound, right? Or you could say it's a Phrygian sound. And then he shifts up to F major 7. So you could think of it as B flat major 7, D flat major 7, F major 7, and so 3, 4. So notice that after the first bar, you repeat the first chord. But now you don't repeat it, you start fret higher to end on the right spot. So on Conquête, it's not possible to play it in D, right? Because the first voicing is too low or it's too high. I mean, not really possible. But I can play it in the bridge. The bridge is 2, 5, 1 to G, so I have to start with this voicing, and I would remember it with the top note. It's a 9 of the 2 chords. So A minor, the 9 is a B. So let me play that on Coquette. It's pretty fast. You'll see it's pretty fast to play this, even on a slower song like Coquette. Pretty cool, right? Beautiful. I think it's really nice in a nice ballad where you have a tempo like 3, 4. Where you can really phrase it a little bit. And now we get to the most difficult one, I think, the West Montgomery one. Hi Fabre Pierre. Hi Juan. So this is a West Montgomery one. It might not look very difficult, but it is pretty difficult. But I'll walk you through it. And actually, he plays it on a waltz or a 6/8. But I mean, you can play it in a 6/8 bar, 6/8 too, if you just start on a 1. But if you start on beat 3 or a 2-end, you can play it in a 4/4. And it sounds like this. I'm going to play it slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So it's to F minor, right? But you can play it to F major. We'll get to that. So F minor, 3, 4. The reason why it's difficult is because of it just feels very unnatural to do this. So 2 downstrokes, or 3 downstrokes, and then a slide. So you always get 2 downstrokes in a row. If you try it, you will feel that it feels very counter. I don't know. It feels like your hands are moving. They're not like it's out of sync or something. It feels very, very weird, especially in the tempo that he does it. Because you really have to hear this. So this is to minor, but if you want to go to major, just go to, and you can play this on a 2-5-1 in major too, because I mean it says G half diminished, but it's just all diminished voicings that fit over C7. To major is a little bit easier because the last chord. So for major, I just play this 4th voicing for F, which is 7, 7, 8, 8. To minor. So the way to remember where it starts, it actually starts with your second finger on the root of the 5th of the dominant. So it's C7. Then you start on C diminished, and then you. And so let's say you have to play it in D. Then you have to start here, right? On the lowest string, you have to find a diminished chord because otherwise you have no frets. So then you have to play a diminished chord on the lower strings, and not many people play a diminished chord on the 4 lower string, but you would play it like this. So that's 5, 6, 4, 5. So you can play it in D. So coquette, coquette, I would play it in D here. And then for the bridge, I have to play it in D, in G. So I have to start with my second finger on the root of the dominant, which is D7. It feels very uncomfortable, but I just transcribed it. I have to practice it. So I'm gonna play it on coquette, but I can't promise I'm gonna play it correctly all the time because it's just very difficult, especially when I start improvising around before it and after it. But I'll try it. so now I played all of the voicings, chord formats for today. I think it's very nice to get these voicings in your fingers and start using them. And I notice now that it already gets easier. The last one, it's just a matter of repeating it, of course, repeating it over and over on many different songs, many different tempos. And I mean, in the beginning, it feels very uncomfortable for my hands, but now it's already starting to work. So let me see. I see there's a question. Fabre Pierre writes, I've got a problem with the notes which must not sound. Which must not sound? Oh, you mean, I know what you mean. You mean where you have to mute strings, right? So it's two part, right? If you have to play a chord like this, where you're not playing the high two strings, right? Let's say you don't want to play this, right? You want to play, so you have to find a way to mute it. And muting in the beginning seems very difficult, but it's just a matter of grabbing the chords in such a way that you're automatically mute strings that you don't want to hear. So, for instance, when I play a diminished chord, I'm just, my shape of diminished voicing for the middle strings just has my thumb automatically muting the lower string and has this part of my first index finger muting the high string. It's just the way I practice the chord voicing. So if you have trouble muting strings that you don't want to hear, you have to find a way to play the chord that it already mutes those strings automatically. So let's say when you play a minor 7 chord or something. Now let's get another example. Let's say you play A minor 6 like this, right? But you always hear for A maybe it's not so good example. Let's do B flat minor 6. But you have trouble muting the A string, so you hear this. That means probably that your second finger is too round, so you have to flatten it a little bit so that you are muting this. So in the beginning, that's then maybe might feel uncomfortable because you're not used to it, but you have to just train your hand again to mute a string automatically. That's all there's to it. There's no trick. Just find the way your hand has to be on the neck to mute the string that you don't want to hear automatically. Now, for instance, when you play octaves, right? For octaves, you only want to hear these two strings, right? Or the two strings that you have the notes on. So I'm muting, for example, when I play this G octave, I don't want to hear I mute them with my second finger. The string between my first and pinky is muted with this part of my first finger. It's just the way, and the high string is muted by my pinky. But then also I'm aiming with my pick for those strings. There's no secret trick to it. That's the way to do it. Just train your hands to mute the strings that you don't want to hear automatically. So for example, for that chord formula, the last one, for the beginning, I mean, I could mute the highest two strings, but I'm just aiming with my pick on the lowest four strings. Here I'm muting the lowest string with my thumb. And for this, I can mute with my thumb, but I just aim my pick for the highest four strings. And if you cannot do it, just slow it down and be very precise. At a certain point, you start training your right hand also to hit the strings that you want to hear. Okay, oh great. Thanks, Fabre. I'm glad that helped. It's just going to take some time. How can I reduce the excess fret noise? Fret noise my pick makes. You mean pick noise, right? Get a thinner pick. That's the solution. Thick picks make a lot of noise. That's why I don't play with a thick pick. I play with this pick. It's not in focus probably, but it's a Wegen Big City, and many players I know, like gypsy jazz players, also play with a thinner pick than you might think. Those thick picks, they are great for getting a lot of sound out of your guitar, but they are very noisy. Doesn't matter how good your technique is, they are always noisy. And so when you're standing 2 meters away, 3 meters away, I don't know how much foot that is, if you're standing 5,000 feet away, then you might not hear that pick noise. But if there's a microphone next to your guitar, then you hear the pick noise. Doesn't matter who you are, you will always hear that pick noise. So either you have to play super loud to kind of make more sound of the guitar than the pick noise, or just get a thinner pick, and then you can play soft or loud, and you don't have the pick noise. That's it. But you say fret noise, but the fret noise, of course, I don't understand how the pick makes fret noise. But if it's shifting of the fingers, I wouldn't worry about that. You don't hear that at all. Or play a arch stop with flat rounds. I hate flat rounds, but flat rounds don't make any string noise. Yeah, 4 millimeters. Just throw it away. That kind of comes from the time when there was no technology, no pick technology, right? People made their own picks made out of tortoise shells. It's very difficult to make to cut your own thin pick out of tortoise shell and make it sound good, right? They needed the mass to make the guitar sound. That's also why those guitars had super high action. But nowadays, with all those great pick builders that have studied how picks can be made and how thin picks can be made to sound good with the right materials, I really don't see any need to play with a thick pick. I think it's mostly nostalgic feelings, and 4 millimeters is just, for me, that's just insane. Let me give you a list of players that play with a thin pick. Stochelo. It's not really thin, right? This is still 1.8, or is this 1.4? No, this is 1.8. It's still 1.8. I would never go thicker than 2, but many players play with 1.5, like Pirelli, Gonzalo Bergara, Adrien Mognard, Sebastian Gignaud. They play with thin picks. People that play with thick picks are usually the old school guys that play super loud all the time. But you kind of have to play loud to kind of play loud, to make more sound out of the guitar than the pick noise. But the pick noise will never go away. The thick picks always are super noisy. Which gauge strings? This is 12. But it feels to me, so on my Gypsy Jazz guitar I have 10. Sometimes I have 11s, but usually 10s. But 12 on arch stop or on this arch stop feels to me the same as 10s on a Gypsy Jazz guitar. And I can feel it with the bending. The bending feels the same kind of action. Yeah, good. Yeah, try thinner picks. So you don't have to go to 1.8, right? You just could start with 2.5. Tommy Davey makes great picks, by the way. I have a bunch of his here, and they are great. If I would go to a thicker pick, I would get one of his. Actually, I played for a while with one of his, but then people started complaining in videos about the pick noise that was there, and that is because even though I love the sound that those picks make, I think the sound of the guitar is a little bit more sweet than with this pick, because I'm making these videos and the microphone is super close, right? There's so much pick noise that I can't use it, and there's no point for me switching to a thinner pick only for the videos. I mean, that will mess up my technique. So I want to play with the same pick. So I'm choosing for a thinner pick. Are the best? No, yeah, I like them, but of course these are not Argentine strings, right? This is Thomas Stick bebop strings. But on my and round mounts, by the way, I hate flat mount strings. I tried them. That's, for me, is the quickest way to make your guitar sound dead. Even though I know there's great guitar players that play with flat mounts, especially in history. Wes Montgomery, of course. I don't know, Joe Pass maybe? I don't know. But for me, it's just, I'm so used to the kind of attack that a Gypsy Jazz guitar makes. And of course, a Gypsy guitar always has round mounts, that I want to have the same attack on arch stop. And I saw Peter Bernstein play live a couple of times, and that's the time I still had flat mounts on my guitar. And then I heard him play on round mounts, and that had that attack, because he uses that in his chord solos, right? Like you need that attack. So I heard that and I was like, yeah, round mounts all the way. So I switched to round mounts and I never looked back. For people that joined late, I just played. I played 3 chord formulas, which you can find in my Patreon. There's one by Peter Bernstein that sounds like this, or it's in C. Sorry, which especially sounds nice low on the guitar. And there's one by Lagerlund, typical Lagerlund. And there's one by Wes Montgomery. Or to a major. So, because many people join now, I'm gonna play one more time. I will play Coquette, and I'll play all the chord formulas so you can hear them, and then that's it for this video. So, Coquette with all the chord formulas that I taught in this video. If you joined late, you can always, of course, watch the video again. And if you want tab for these formulas and for all the other videos, you can check out my Patreon. That's really helpful for me. I mean, Patreon is kind of the reason that I can keep doing this. So thanks if you check that out. Thanks if you're already a patron of mine, of course. And then you can download all the tabs. So here we go. Okay, that was it, guys. 5 fret stretch slides. Yeah, it's very, it's pretty difficult. But I'm sure you can do it if you practice. So check out my Patreon. Please like this video, subscribe, and share it with people you know. That's very much appreciated. And I will see you all in the next video, which will be another one in my standards series. And I will go to a Gypsy Jazz standard. I think I'm going to do Shine or Undecided. I'm undecided about that. But it's very difficult to do videos now because I'm at my university where I teach. It's now the exam period, so there's many exams. But one more week and I'll have more time to stream. Okay, guys and gals, bye-bye.